What's up, everybody? Late Night TV, ghostcultman.com, here on all the streaming channels and hanging out with you on TikTok. This will probably rebroadcast on a couple of other channels as well as our YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, X, all the things. This is not our regular weekly rock and metal news show, which is interactive. We take questions and hopefully accept donations and share stuff. This is just a straight up review video of the brand new High on Fire video, the brand new High on Fire album. Cometh the Storm, coming out this week, April 19th, on Monarch Heavy. And I'm just super stoked to be here and talk about this. I've gotten to extensively listen to the record. The series is called 5-Minute Reviews. It's probably going to be about 10 minutes. And again, we're not going to welcome people or take questions. This is going to get rebroadcast and shared around. A full written review is coming to our website. A full interview with Matt Pike and Jeff Matz is coming to YouTube and everywhere else soon. But in the meantime, let's get this review happening. My light is casting a weird shadow here. And my pillow. So from the bedroom HQ, you get what you get. So let's talk about this brand new High on Fire record. First things first, we're going to do like the little intro. Here's our deck. This is our little deck of the show that I created to sort of help guide the process. Once again, if you're new to the channel, thanks for being here. Like and subscribe. A lot of people are here for a lot of our many stoner doom interviews, our constant metal news and rock and metal news of all stripes, all across ghostcultmag.com and all our socials, and of course our many reviews. We've done quite a bunch of these. We're starting to pick up steam doing more video content. I hope you all appreciate it. We work really hard. Me and my partner, Omar Cordy, make the majority of the video content here. We're starting to get some other interview contributions from others, which I'm really pumped about. So stay tuned for all that. Looks like we got a comment earlier. Nope. Some spammer on Twitch. Great. What are you going to do? But it's all good, though. If you have a comment, feel free to drop it, and I'll come back in after the show and reply to you. But High on Fire fans, here we go. We are talking about the 9th album from High on Fire, Cometh the Storm, on Monarch Heavy. This is 5 years after their last album, Electric Messiah. The band took a very, obviously we had the global meltdown in between, and life gets in the way. And the band toured all over the world behind their most successful album. Electric Messiah won the Grammy, which, for a stoner doom band from Oakland, now Portland, no little feat. Just to let you know. So for underground bands to compete against, the Metallicas of the world and whoever else, Rammstein, whoever had a record out in 2019 and beat them and win a Grammy, hats off to High on Fire, hats off to the whole team at Monarch Heavy, their PR team, everybody, because what a feat that is just to kind of break into the mainstream with this patentedly underground band. So High on Fire, man, this is their 9th album in 26 years. Celebrated 25 years as a band last year. They have toured all over the world. They have reissued their debut album, The Art of Self-Defense, last year. There's probably some more reissues in the works from the band as well. Came from Oakland, California, originally as, sort of the outgrowth of the sort of doomy grindcore band Asbestos Death, which had Pike in it. Matt Pike, also, of course, known for his time in Sleep. High on Fire is the band that kind of came up, sort of post-Sleep, which is 30 plus years old. That was actually the predecessor of Sleep's predecessor was Asbestos Death. So really cool that High on Fire has had this kind of longevity and somehow mainstream. Sleep is, one of my favorite bands and obviously an iconic band in the stoner doom genre, but really cool to see High on Fire kind of get their flowers in this modern context. And of course, a lot of it started out as Motorhead worship, but as Pike is such a tremendous guitar player and the band became, better and more sophisticated, they wrote more and more adventurous music. And I think that's going to be well founded on this new record. Obviously, some of their highlight albums, the debut, The Art of Self-Defense, Blessed Black Wings is usually the one everybody goes back to. I personally love that record, came along at a very pivotal time in metal. Death is This Communion was really their commercial breakthrough when they started to chart a lot more. Snakes for the Divine and De Vermis Mysterious, as well as Luminiferous, explored conspiracy theories and all kinds of interesting themes and concepts. And then Electric Messiah kind of was in a a big amalgam. And honestly, we're going to jump into Cometh the Storm in a minute, but you really hear the growth of the bands, kind of like you cut a tree open and you count the rings, and you really count the rings on a band like High on Fire. You really appreciate and understand their history and sort of all the things. And this new record's, going to be interesting. We're going to talk about it in one more second, but yeah, I'm extremely jazzed to share this with you. I've spent a lot of time with this record. Unabashedly, I'm a huge fan, but also if it wasn't great, I would tell you. That's our policy here at Ghost Cult. Even bands we love, when they put a stinker out, we're well known as one of the tougher review sites out there. Actually, we give hard grades. We actually give grades. We don't just tell you we love everything. We try not to bash things too badly, but anything that deserves it, going to get it. That's how we do. So without further ado, let us just blaze through the track by track. I have some notes here I'm going to look off to the side. And again, if you got questions about the album or comments about this video, drop them and I will come back in and answer them later, I promise. So the album, which again was recorded and produced at God City Studios in Salem, Massachusetts. I used to live there. Produced by Converge's Kurt Ballou. He's kind of the fourth member of the band. It's always been a power trio, but Kurt, especially on all the records he's worked on, they know each other well. They love the studio. Kurt is actually a guy who can prod and push the band to get the best out of them. Not that he has to, but he can. They have that much respect for him. I think a younger producer would not be able to go in and critique the band, even if they were open-minded about it. So they really needed a peer of their own to really give them that kind of centering guidance that I think a lot of older bands lose the ability to self-edit and think everything they make is dope. And sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. So Cometh the Storm has a very biblical name, and there's a lot of biblical and religious themes on this record. And I think Pike has always been a person who pokes at the structures of society with his lyrics and examines, and he likes to pull things apart and stick a stick in them and see if they flinch. And that's what he does. He's actually a pretty deep and smart guy. I know he has a reputation as a hesher, and he's got no shirt on, and he's wailing on guitar, but he's actually a really very smart and sensitive person. I got to interview him a few times and meet him a few other times. So that comes from experience, not just a fan perspective here. So the album kicks off. There's the beautiful cover with the burnt sienna orange and the pirate ship basically on the rocky waters with the fire in the sky, kind of orange. We had a similar color sky out here the last couple of summers in California. And so the album opens with Lamb's Bread. And again, right off the bat, a lot of biblical kind of terminology, not just in the titles, but also in the songs. And not only is a killer opening track with sick riffs, and extremely powerful drumming by new drummer Cody Willis, who you best know from his time in Big Business and also Melvin's with Big Business. Cody replaces Des Kensel, who departed the band in 2019. And Cody had been a fill-in guy, and then he's the guy. And he really dominates on this whole album and perfectly fits the band. But the first track's incredible. And then it has, it's just a riff fest, but then it kind of breaks down into this incredible world music, Middle Eastern, almost Middle Eastern belly dancing music is what I call it, world music, where they really explore these, sounds and themes. I think this is a recurring pattern on this album, and I think the band, it shows a willingness to take risks. It's a band that won a huge major commercial popular award, and then they come right out of the gate with a banger. Just here's what we do. We know who we are as a band, and then also incorporating new stuff. So right off the bat, a terrific first track. Then the second track is Burning Down, and there's a few tracks on this album that are going to have like an old throwback feeling to like early High on Fire. And Burning Down is one of those songs, got a stone cold groove, just absolutely banger grooves, perfect psychedelic stoner doom song, and just banana balls guitar solos. Like some of Pike's best solos ever are actually on this record. I know that seems hard to believe based on his tremendous output of riffs and solos, but I really love the Burning Down guitar solos. There's a few of them actually. Moving on to the third track, and I hope I don't butcher this, Trismegistus. In our interview, Pike said it correctly, so reference that. I'll link it here in the description after it runs. But, this is classic High on Fire, Motorhead worship. stoner doom, proto heavy metal, screamed vocals, and almost kind of like basically fast doom metal riffs played fast. This is how I termed it in my notes. What a killer track. And seemingly, you know, Pike, one thing that you'll notice on this record is he's really tried to up his game as a vocalist. I know that's kind of like, what can he do vocally that's different when he has a certain kind of very specific kind of voice? But actually, he's really trying to stretch out and do more melodies. Even though he sounds like he gargled with asphalt and glass, he really can carry a tune. And I think what you're hearing on this record is in kind of very similar to, you know, your some of your other legendary stoner metal bands and stoner doom bands and proto metal bands, like a Lemmy. Lemmy had a deceptive melodic voice. He could occasionally carry a good tune, like Killed by Death. And I think Trismegistus is another one of those tracks for Pike where he's really stretching out vocally. And yeah, so great track. Cometh the Storm's the title track, and you can tell why. It is one of the longest tracks on the record. It is just epic in every single way, shape, and form. Again, Jeff Matz doesn't really get enough credit as the bassist because he's with such a dominating guitars, but the bassist in a power trio is essential. Look at your bands like Rush and other bands that have been power trios, and ZZ Top, the bass player, is the fulcrum of the music. He really glues everything together, and I really feel like Jeff's glue on Cometh the Storm. Fantastic lyrics. Again, these sort of larger than life, ominous feelings and warning type lyrics, kind of not too far from Sabbath or Dio. And again, just epic song. The next track is this really interesting track, Koranlik Y'all. I thought this was like Clerks. Olaf, Girl Nice, Skrelnik, but it's Koralnik, Y'all. And it's a total instrumental. And again, very Led Zeppelin-y, Middle Eastern modes and themes, maybe even instrumentation. They pulled out some funky instruments clearly and tried to give their take on world music. And I think it's actually really killer. It's a fun track. It breaks up the record in half, basically. And I feel like, again, it's a nod to, you know, maybe Deep Purple would have tried this with Richie Blackmore. Maybe this is a Jimmy Page call out, but really cool to hear this band doing stuff they have really never done before and give new voices and flavors a try. And, you know, musical interlude is always a welcome relief from the bludgeoning and the heavy. This is also pretty much the most dynamic High on Fire album ever, just across the board. Songs, parts, Pike and his phrasing and singing, like I said, his attempted vocals and melodies. The next track after the instrumental is Saul's Golden Curse, which is another just riff parade, just Pike raining down riffs and really cool mid-tempo song, great vocals. And again, just Cody Willis just destroying on the drums. He's a wiry guy, but he's super powerful. And this is the thing you hear me talk about whenever I do interview a drummer, which is that you don't often, you have in the modern metal, especially for the heavier extreme styles, black metal, death metal, technical, progressive thrash, all kinds of things, speed has kind of overtaken power. And Cody is a guy who can play fast, and he can play death metal apparently and also do blast beats and stuff like that he doesn't get to do much in the bands he's in. However, his power as he really returns the drum to its pedestal as a percussion instrument, a percussive force, and really the drums power the song, which is what drumming is supposed to do, not play along with guitar. It's supposed to drive the music, just in case you didn't know. So Saul's Golden Curse, excellent track. The next track is probably the most old school High on Fire. I mentioned Burning Down earlier. The beating is just fast, short, to the point, super old school, proto heavy metal, kind of boogie, like a little boogie, like a up jumped ZZ Top on roids. Real fun track. And on repeat listens, this is just a banger. I definitely got out my seat and had banged around a little bit while I listened to it. I thought it was really fun. Just really strong. Moving along to the last few tracks on the album, you have Tough Guy, another banger, very slower but ferocious is what my notes say here. And really cool, slinky, chromatic riffs where, you know, like just very cool to the ear. Like it seems very basic, but it's actually quite not easy to do. And there's some cool layering and some cool other things going on the track. When you listen back to it, it sounds like there's some other musical things going on here. Really fun how much stuff they tried to do at God City Studios with these tracks. Next track, probably my two favorite tracks are these next two of the whole album. Lightning Beard. I feel like I have a lightning beard. I love this track. Just super, just so killer. Up there with some of the best tracks the band has ever done. This is going to, I don't know if this is going to be a single or not, but this is absolutely a very memorable song that should be released as maybe a single in a video, in my personal opinion. Maybe the best vocal performance ever from Pike is on this next song. This is Hunting Shadows. Phenomenal chorus, really stretched out his range, took vocal risks. Not, most singers only use 2 or 3 notes in a whole and an octave in a whole song. In most music, pop music, rock music, metal, not metal. And here's Pike just taking all kinds of vocal risks, as maybe even singing outside of his own body. Kind of reminds me of what Mastodon did on Crack the Sky. With Brent Hines, like when he was really like, oh, I'm going to really like stretch outside of my capabilities and try for something I've never done before. And it works. It really works. Hunting Shadows, great lyrics, great vocals, killer riffs, which, kind of could say the whole album is like that, but, got to be a little more specific. And then for the final track, this really epic, long 10-minute track, Darker Fleece, again, another kind of biblical and religious reference a little bit. Very long, starts with a very drawn out drone guitar part, not unlike some Sun or Earth with Dylan Carlson. But then, and of course, Sleep was well known for their many drone riffs, and this is like the most Sleep like song on here. So if you're more of a Sleep fan than a High on Fire fan, you at least want to check out this final track. Out of context, maybe not, but I dig it a lot. It's really pummeling and slow. It's very heavy, also like a Crowbar, and Crowbar is clearly hugely influenced by Sleep and High on Fire. Probably they're contemporaries of Sleep, but very influenced by stuff like this, and a tremendous closer to the record. It really, it's long, but it doesn't feel over long, which is the most important thing for a long track. And that's really the wrap up on the album. I'm really high on this. Personally, I would give this a 9 out of 10. We don't give a lot of high grades at Ghost Cult Mag. Don't know if you know that. We gave our first 10 of the year out last month to Mastiff, the UK sludge metal band, a little bit of doom. But I would say this is easily one of the best records by High on Fire, which is really saying something considering how many bangers they have in their catalog. And, even if you felt like, okay, it's not breaking any new ground, it's well above average for a record so far in 2024. And that's usually what we grade on here at Ghost Cult, is not against everything else, but just in general, what is the merits of this album? And so that's our review, and I really appreciate you being here. This will get reshared, and our written review will hit the site soon, and our interview with Pike and Jeff will hit soon. And I just want to thank everybody for their support. If you watched this far, thank you. Please drop a comment, like, and subscribe. Tell us what you thought. Tell us if you hated it. It's all good. We can take it. We're tough. I'm Keefe from Ghost Cult Mag, and we are out. Thanks for being here. And watch the site for more stuff. And then we'll just take us on home.